fellow adventurers. Thank you very much for joining us for another adventure hour. Today we have some lovely guests with us, but first, as always, we are going to dive into a little blurb about the story first so we know that what we're getting into. So today we will be doing the Great Gabba Mystery. There's a heist in progress under your very eyes. Catch the thief and solve the case. You have responded to a job ad as a local private investigator, but your interview goes awry when you witness a crime in progress in Woolloongabba's vintage heart. Equipped with only your wits and a police radio, it is up to you to help P.I Street catch the thief in this glamorous noir adventure. Get ready for getaway cars, gangsters, goddesses, and aliens. This mystery in the heart of the Gabba Precinct, where pretty meets ugly and sport meets art, will test all of your deductive skills. Will you save the day and land the job? Dun, dun, dun. Beautiful. This is our adventure today. We are joined by the absolutely lovely guest stars, our creators for the Great Gabba Mystery. We have the delightful Miss Meg Vann. Thank you so much for joining us, Meg.
It's just so exciting to be here, Em. What fun.
Yay. And again, we have a repeat creator coming back to have fun with us, Claire. Thank you so much for joining us again.
My pleasure. What a fun crowd to be spending my Friday with.
Woohoo! And so for those of you who may remember, Claire was our very first adventure guest in Adventure Hour, episode numero uno. So we will catch up a little bit with Claire and what she's been up to over the past couple of months. But first, Meg, please tell everybody what it is that you write, what you're working on now, what you've been up to.
Well, I've been up to all sorts of dark and twisty things. You will not be surprised to hear. I have a novella coming out next month called Crawl Space, which is about how, as is usual with my stories, it's about how we treat worst those we love best. So if you want to get really creeped out, as well as you have an appetite for social justice, particularly around gendered crimes, I highly recommend Crawl Space, published through the wonderful Brain Jar Press. So yeah, very exciting. And apart from that, I'm now officially a bookseller, which is an absolutely wonderful day gig to have.
Oh, that is fabulous. So, as a bookseller, what do you get to do?
I get to use my powers of book buying for good instead of evil. So I am no longer in debt, forced to build housing out of a pile of books. Instead, I get to peruse, select, and hand sell, thousands of books every month. We're just coming up to Brisbane Writers' Festival in May, and so I've selected 300 titles. We'll have 15,000 book units that we move around 3,000 customers drawn from an audience of 10,000 or more over 5 days. So basically I just have to work out a lot, get really strong, but also, I mean, books and stories have been my safe place, my adventure place. Since really before I could read, I would make up dark and twisty psychological thrillers in my head to gently drift myself off to sleep as a 4-year-old. So I just basically get to live and breathe books and connect with readers, which is what I really love doing.
It's wonderful. And you have done so many amazing different jobs in the book industry, from being the head of the Queensland Writers Centre. You've also worked at UQ as part of their writing and publishing program, and now book selling, and you're a writer yourself. Do you have any favorite little bits of things that you've learned or done?
Yeah, I think the favourite thing that I've learned, and something that I'm really keen to share with everyone who I have the honour of working with and mentoring through my various roles as a lecturer or a cultural producer or arts leader, is that whilst there's no straight pathway into a storytelling career, there are many, many, many doors to open and explore. And whether you're located regionally, rurally, or in a metropolitan centre, whether you're from a more mainstream or a marginalised or targeted culture or subculture, whether you feel that you have a high level of education and great grammar, or whether you feel like you just love stories, there is a creative storytelling pathway for you. And if you connect with wonderful places like Story City and all of the other great people that are around, you can find an open door that will suit you for your creative storytelling talents. Just read, listen to stories, immerse yourself in the storytelling world.
And I wonder what also your take is, having come from like university institutes that teach creativity, and then also having seen into like areas more like the Writers' Centre, where it's more less like a multi-year degree and more like picking up expertise from individual people who have done different things. Like, do you think that there is a better way of like learning to be creative? Like what are the pros and cons of each of those?
Great question. Firstly, I think it's important to know that everyone can learn to write. You just need good teachers and good peers, and you need to read a lot. So as long as you have those, anyone can learn to write. I noticed that when writing in an academic context, or learning to write in an academic context, it's about the advancement of knowledge as well as much as it is about learning the tools of the craft. So academic writing is really good for absolute newcomers who need to get across the basics, and for whom a formal qualification will help them with their chosen career path. So if you want to get a job in an industry where you need a writing degree for it, absolutely go ahead and go to uni. If you are if you're mature age and wanting to re-enter into writing because you were really good at it before, go to a writer's centre. Or if you have done a degree and you're maybe working in an industry you love, but you're not writing to your passion, so you might be doing high-level communications strategies for a government department, but really what you want to do is write erotic romance, then head along to a writer's centre and dive into your niche. Writer centres cater beautifully for niche and also career development.
I love that. And I think that one of the things that I really appreciated in all of the wonderful times that we've like been able to work together, I think that you had this really wonderful view, because the arts is one of those things where there's this almost a feeling that you should do things because you love it, and as a result, like the type of burnout that you get from being in arts and working in arts programs and all of those kind of things can be crazy. And you've always been a really great advocate for balanced arts programs and institutes that don't result in burnout, because mental health is really important. I just kind of wanted to dive into that a little bit, because you have always been just a great voice of reason for that for me. And I know that as a result of having worked with you, I put boundaries in place in my life that have definitely made my mental health better as someone who works in the arts and creativity.
Oh, Em, that's just such a beautiful thing to say. I feel just really just honoured and fueled by you saying that, because I also really admire your work ethic, your creativity, and the way you marry your love of a great idea with your ability to pay the bills. Like, just absolutely outstanding. I guess I don't really think of myself in my early days in an arts career of being great with boundaries, but it just so happened that when I really plunged into an arts career, I had young kids, so I just had to draw a line, because otherwise I'd get, sued for neglect. And I guess I took that lesson through with me. Having a portfolio career has really helped me. So I've never really just worked full-time on one thing. I've always, even when I was CEO of Queensland Writers Centre, I was still an active member of a writers group. I still had a manuscript that I was pitching through publication. And then as a lecturer, I was not just a lecturer, I also ran so when I was in community arts, I did guest lectures for uni, but when I was at uni, a university lecturer, I did community work. So I like having touch points across different parts of the creative industry and the book sector. Just really helped me if I felt like, you know, I was struggling with my self-esteem or a perceived lack of progress in one area. I could be bolstered by being feeling really highly valued and successful in another area. So I had that balance. And the other big thing is I really believe that, you know, it's an unveiling of authentic passions when we decide to commit to a creative career. And it took me a while. I really knew it was about books and storytelling, but I didn't really know where in that. I knew I wanted to write, but I knew I wanted to do community development as well. So just having a bit of freedom to explore the industry, but I didn't explore it in a taking sense. I came to it with a sense of generosity and curiosity, and I really, really respond positively to people in the industry who have those same qualities, who are, you know, ethical, generous and curious, because it just allows you to have really open, authentic, we can be as quirky as we like, but it just comes with a feeling of cultural safety and of personal responsibility, that enables just a really, really healthy, you know, you can clear, you don't have to put up with any toxicity in your working environment and just end up connecting with really great people. So by that sort of pay it forward approach, like if I meet someone who I perceive might be able to open up a creative professional opportunity for me down the line, I don't thrust my business card at them and demand they follow me on Twitter instead, or Twitch, thrill sister. Instead, I look for ways that I can be of service to them. And that has been a really kind of successful way for me to always feel supported, because people are always happy. The other thing is, as it says in the introduction to the Great Gabba Mystery, embrace both sports and arts, because both are really important for holistic wellness. So like Chuck Wendig always says, you know, writing involves a lot of bum glue, but eventually you've got to leave yourself up out the chair and move your body around to maintain holistic wellness.
Yeah, 100%.
So I go to the gym, I lift up everything, so I put them back down again.
And as a bookseller, you found the great combination between physical and oh, thank you so much, Meg. I appreciate that insight. And I know I knew that you would have a really interesting take on that. I might jump a little bit to Claire and say hello, Claire. You had something very exciting happen to you today, where you actually gave your first university lecture.
Yeah, I'm actually like I'm so glad that I know you, Meg, because everything that you just said is such a perfect mirror for what's happening in my life over the past couple of years, really. Yeah, and that's definitely something that I did for the first time yesterday. I actually did my first university class as a teacher, not a student, and it was all about social media for creative enterprise. So I'm really in that whole field of creative industries as well, but not so much writing, more sort of the music industry and radio. So yeah, it's interesting to see all these different parallels between the way that my work mirrors a lot of stuff that's happening in the writing industry. So yeah, it's cool to see that happening.
When we had a chat at the end of our first episode last time, Claire, you actually gave me a little insight into how you ended up in Sydney and kind of built the career that you currently have. I think it was so fascinating and interesting to hear how you did that. If you wouldn't mind, I would love for you to share a little bit about that journey because, as Meg said, like there is a journey for everyone, and everyone gets to their writing journey or their ability in a bunch of different ways. And you came at yours in a really interesting and wonderful way, and you do a lot of really cool things. So I was wondering if you might be able to share
Yeah,
a little bit about that.
I mean, so my whole story, I guess, I have always been a creative person, but I have always had different outlets for my creativity. I really have never tried to uh, consign myself to a particular art form. I was an illustrator for Story City, and that's definitely a type of art that I really enjoy creating. But initially when I left school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I loved writing. I wanted to be a writer. I thought that was absolutely the trajectory of what my career was going to be like. And more specifically, some of the stuff that I really loved writing about, I loved writing sort of like long form editorial pieces about life and creativity and particularly music. So when I left school, I fortunately got into a communications degree, and I was sort of like, okay, I'm going to go here, I'm going to learn to write, and I'm going to be a music journalist because I love writing about music and arts, and that's a really easy way to kill all my birds with one stone. So I started doing that and studying that, and time went on, and I was still doing art. I had my own art business at the time where I was doing illustration jobs and graphic design jobs for different businesses and government organizations and university societies, all sorts of things. So it was all going at the same time. And I also was working as a lighting technician in like nightclubs because I had done that certification when I was still in high school, and I loved pretty lights and performance, and I'd done a lot of stage performance in school. So yeah, as I said, doing all the different types of creativity. I was also a dance teacher for a little bit as well, so yeah, doing everything. But eventually what happened was I got the opportunity to do a internship in the music department of a radio station where I could write about music all the time. And I was like, this is such a cool opportunity. I just get to hang out with people that love music all day and write about songs that I love and process music and hear new music. And I could easily just do this forever because music is absolutely the spice of life, right? So I went and did this internship, and I think it was about 4 months. And I would basically just come into this radio station and argue with my supervisor about what songs were good. And at the end of the internship, they were sort of like, Claire, we thought you were going to be really shy at the start of this, but turns out you can talk a lot. You should think about doing your own radio show. And I was like, oh, I've never really thought about that. But I guess yeah, if you guys think I'm up for it, I'm willing to give it a go. And that turned into about 8 years of radio love for me. It's something I never chose to do, but absolutely fell in love with. And my technical background with the lighting design lent itself into doing radio production. So I sort of had a crash course in producing radio, and then got to the point where I was able to train other radio announcers and producers. And that all progressed just through my love of the content that I was creating and the people that I got to meet. And and then I ended up becoming the marketing coordinator for that station, just through my studies and being there all the time. And all of that sort of happened. And then I got to a point last year where I sort of hit a point in the road where I sort of had been doing all of this for a really long time, didn't really know what my next step was going to be. And I was like, I could easily stick around and try and do the same old thing, or I could try and mix it up a little bit. So just sort of started applying to different jobs around the place. I'd just gotten my master's degree in digital comms, in communications. So I was very good at data analysis and, doing marketing and all those sorts of things. And I got offered a job here in Sydney in the finance industry of all industries. definitely not an industry that I thought I'd be a part of ever. But it was an opportunity nonetheless to relocate my life and try something totally different. And I had no strings attached in Brisbane. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. Let's move to Sydney and see what happens. So I moved there and worked in the finance industry, which was a great experience. But I really quickly learnt that although the job was something that I could do, the industry was not an industry that I loved. It was very interesting. I learned a lot about my own finances, first of all, but a lot of other things. And then one day I was on my lunch break and I got a call from a big radio station here in Sydney, and they offered me a contract, and I was given the opportunity again to work in music radio. Didn't even have to do an interview, just had to say yes or no. And so it was sort of like a no-brainer for me, and I said yes. And from that experience, I got back into music radio and back into the music industry and back into radio. And now I work at two different radio stations in Sydney, a community radio organisation that looks after all of Australian community radio. And I also work at an arts university where I get to engage with all of these wonderful students that are studying things like music, game design, animation, like all sorts of wonderful creative souls. So yeah, that's where I'm at now, and I'm teaching there now.
Right, the twisty, turny pathways that you kind of end up in when you say, "Oh, okay, you think I'm a good talker? Yes, I will do the thing. I'll give it a shot." Like, "Oh, you would like me to try out this? Okay, well, I mean, it could just go horribly. That's fine."
Yeah, I am the number one advocate for giving it a red hot crack, Em.
Beautiful. Well, okay, so we are now going to be diving into our adventure, the Great Gabba Mystery, today. And I don't know, are both of you ladies interested in maybe if I do the narration? Are you ladies interested in maybe doing some of the voices that appear in this here story? Are you up for that? Meg, yes? How do you feel about it, Claire?
Yeah, sure. My connection, unfortunately, is a little intermittent, so I'll play along as much as I can.
Sounds good. Not a worry.
I'm with you, Meg. We'll see how we go.
Okay. All right. So we are starting. For those of you who are playing by podcast afterwards, we are starting here in the absolutely lovely Woolloongabba district. You will see that we are in this kind of little cul-de-sac kind of area here. It's a nice little vintagey sort of area within Brisbane. It's got these very cute lamps that are street lights. So you've got just some beautiful kind of umbrella lampshade looking lights that are in and around here. Across the road, you can't see it uh, over the building at the moment, but it's the Woolloongabba grounds. That is where a bunch of Australian football is played, AFL, the Brisbane Lions, along with a bunch of cricket. It is, I think, going to be raised and rebuilt for the Olympic Games in a decade or so, I think is the idea.
There's a lot going on in the Gabba these days.
There is, and I do wonder how much of like the areas that we'll wander through today will like be redeveloped by the new plans for that, but we will see. But as you can see, tropical Queensland. So, we've got lots of palm trees here. We've got the river kind of yonder, and some beautiful like fig trees, and just a lovely kind of old school vintage vibe in this area. So to set the scene for that, you'll see here also the lovely artwork from the beautiful Clare Neal, and we see our very mystery thief there hanging out in red. So let's get started on this adventure. Okay. The ad for assistant investigator said to meet P.I Street outside the Woolloongabba police beat. You nervously scan the area. Times have been tough. You really need this job. The Gabba Precinct has a quirky charm that draws all manner of folks, brightly dressed moths to its vintage flame. Shells of history cast triangular shadows across these bustling streets where old buildings are meticulously restored or deliciously abandoned. And of course, there is the Gabba Stadium itself, a massive concrete spaceship filled with the hopes and dreams of thousands, landed smack bang in the middle. Here is a place where old meets new, where pretty meets ugly, where sport meets art. It seems ripe for dark acts, the perfect place to kickstart your dreams of donning a trench coat, solving mysteries, and earning big money. Meg, I'm going to get you to be P.I Street.
Hey there, I'm
Sizzle.
P.I Street. Are you my next appointment?
You nod, but before you can answer, a voice calls out.
Stop, thief! Help, call the police!
Footsteps beat towards you. Someone brushes past your shoulder. They're moving too fast for you to get a close look. You rub your shoulder reflectively, even though they didn't hit you hard. A crowd of people gather, pointing and yelling. A police officer steps out from the beat, looking harassed.
Am I doing this?
Go on, do it, Claire.
Okay. P.I Street, why do you always seem to show up in the right place at the wrong time?
Street whispers to you.
That's Detective Adler. He's known me since I was just a kid growing up in this neighbourhood, playing on both sides of the tracks. I'm here interviewing my new assistant.
Street points to you.
Street points to you and you blush.
You blush, that's right. You never imagined you'd be meeting a police officer so soon into your interview.
This is a fire alarm test.
What's up, Adler?
This is a fire alarm test.
Better mute myself for a
This
sec.
is a
Yeah, you may have to. Unfortunately, we are also in the middle of a fire alarm test at a disco in Claire's workplace. Adler eyeballs you, and you stand tall, trying to look as tough and as smart as Street. I've got a problem, Street, and it looks like you're my solution. Everyone from the police beat is over at the stadium responding to an incident. But right now, we've got a robbery in progress.
It's my day off, you know. I'd planned a few interviews over a quiet cup of coffee.
Street gives Adler a steely
What do you
glare.
need?
In the crime-solving business, you never get a day off. Everywhere you go, there's a mystery to solve. Adler gives a gruff laugh and passes Street a police radio. The thief has made off with a priceless relic. The details are confidential, national security laws and all. Help me catch the thief and reclaim the artifact. Adler runs back into the police beat and Street turns to you.
The thief ran straight past you. Did you catch a glimpse?
Yes, they're young, wearing a sports cap pulled low. You think hard, wanting to impress. They're clutching a beat-up leather tote bag as if their life depended on it.
Good work. You're the first today who's shown any promise. Want to help me solve this mystery?
Shocked and delighted at this chance to prove yourself, you manage to nod.
All right, consider this your interview. Which way?
Street looks at you expectantly. You rise to your first challenge. The thief ran that way, but there's also some witnesses calling out for help down there. Do you take the chance to prove how fast you are on your feet and chase after the thief? Or show off your detective skills honed from watching endless cop shows on TV. Then question the witnesses. All right, everyone. What are we feeling? Are we going to be sporty and attempt to run the thief down, or are we going to be smart and interview some witnesses to try and head them off?
Well, I reckon if it was me going for the interview, I reckon there's probably quite a few people who can run fast. But I think what impressed Street first up was my observation and my smarts. So maybe I'll go for, I reckon we should go for showing off our detective skills, honed from watching endless cop shows on TV.
Oh, we know how Meg loves to do her writing, don't we?
I second that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're showing your crime writer side, Meg.
I mean, I too.
I have watched a lot of.
I am not the best runner, so like I'm going to be honest. I could attempt to run the thief down, but I would very quickly fail. Like, so I think that I would prefer to use.
We're clearly not doing.
Yeah.
We're clearly not doing the holistic physical activity writing balance today. We're going for the chill route.
After my big spiel, I choose the option which relies on us watching hours and hours of television.
We're exercising the mind, actually.
I mean, and we could look honestly. Street looks like, you know, they're probably not going to be the one that's chasing down the crook. So maybe they do want us to show off our athletic prowess. But do you know what? There's so much construction going on around the Gabba. I reckon if we tried to run off, we'd end up falling down a pothole.
Yeah, we need to know like parkour, like hardcore parkour right now to be able to run through.
Around the scaffolding, down through the new tunnel.
And you have no idea what the parkour levels are of the thief that you're chasing.
True. They could be experienced.
Right? Exactly. So the other thing that I remember that you built into this story, Meg, was that you had people kind of like adding to the document case for P.I Street. So he wants you to like take photographs so that like they can kind of drum up business. So he's getting his social media hat on, Claire, and he's like, we need to take photos of us like investigating so that people will know. He's doing a bit of the like, you know, let's do the Watson thing where we're doing the posts about Sherlock so we can get a bit of publicity and get ourselves some business, you know.
Love that. So, just so that they can like keep track of exactly where they are too.
Yeah, exactly. And so
yeah,
exactly. And so he said, how about he builds in like a clue puzzle for each picture that we're going to take. And so the one for this particular location is that Parisian style street lamps are a key feature of this area. And so Adler tells you that before the heist, the thief was seen lingering at a place where 3 lamps gather. And so we wanted to take our photograph near that. So if we have a look here, we've got a lot of different lamps kind of hanging out, but we want to be at a place where 3 of the lamps gather together. So I wonder if we can tell that from our little street view. I think this is probably going to be the area where most of them have gathered, isn't it?
Yeah, like at in
this kind of
like there seems to be a mixture. Yeah.
At the very least, you know, you've got your kind of 3 different ones in this kind of triangle right here. Yeah. Beautiful. All right. So there we go. Click, click, screen grab. We've caught our first bit of social media. And then we are off to the Logan Road pedestrian seating. So that's this guy over here, further down the street. This man's holding a very delicious looking coffee. Maybe us armchair travelers can slurp along with him there.
There's a beautiful, I don't know if it's still there, but there's that beautiful Italian restaurant in that little precinct.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't tell you what it's called, but they have like their own wine importer that like goes to Italy every now and then and like brings back all this wine.
Look at all of the ghost
Yeah.
text.
Still there, the wall of wine still there, and it also does the beautiful giant wheel of cheese pasta where they just bring out a giant wheel of cheese, plop fresh fresh cooked hot pasta on, stir
You're making
around
me
the
hungry.
cheese, and then put it on your plate with ketchup.
Oh my God, yeah.
That sounds delicious. Doesn't
I know what
one
I'm
of
having
these,
for dinner.
right? Doesn't one of these places also have like a hidden speakeasy that's like downstairs as well?
Oh,
do you know what?
I'll have to go check it out.
It had a hidden speakeasy. Yeah, it had a hidden speakeasy for years, but now it's even better. It's a pinball arcade.
Ooh.
Nice.
Yes. I am on board for that.
That's right. It's a Ghostbusters.
I know what I'm checking out next time I come back to Brisbane.
80s, you know.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, it's the best. It's the best place to hang out. We go there for dinner and games.
Yes, on board. And look at these lovely ghost signs as well that kind of exist on the old buildings around here. Like, how cool is that? A little bit of history kind of peeking out at us. All right, sorry. We are going now to our beautiful seating area right here.
Yeah, I love that. I love the layering of history.
Mm-hmm. And look at this. Look at the beautiful Moreton Bay.
Yeah, the layering of history at the Gabba is spectacular.
Mm-hmm. It's particularly, I think that's why you picked this area, right, Meg? Because of that historic kind of vibe to it. And as you said, the vintage vibe, right? Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. I just love that that large road that you can see at the intersection, Ipswich Road there. It was the original Bullocky train when they discovered the Cunningham's Gap through the Great Dividing Range from the farmlands out west. They'd come through the gap straight and they'd drive the Bullocky train straight up Ipswich Road. And then there was a big... there's a local flavour of ginger beer, a local brand of ginger beer, Stone's Ginger Beer, and that's where the Stone's Ginger Beer factory was. So they'd stop off and have some ginger beer because it was so hot, and then they'd continue on taking the bullocks and the farm produce down. And then they would be... and so I just love it. There's that really, really old history that you can still see in the geography of the place. And so I felt when I was writing this story that even though I knew there would be change and growth, that some of the old history would still peek through in the building facades and the local characters as well. But also it keeps getting layered with this really interesting futuristic architecture as well. So once it's like the giant concourse into the Gabba and the new train tunnels and a few mega structures around it, I think that's going to add a whole nother level of wow to this story. Even if there's little bits of landmarks that have changed, there'll be exciting new things in their place that people can really use a jumping off point as they imagine their way through this story.
100%, absolutely. And the great thing that I love about Meg's story in particular is that if you go down a different branch, so there are like 8 eventual kind of branches that you go down, each one ends up being a completely different genre, which I love. Like it is like one of my favorite things about this particular story. Okay, so we are now at the Logan Road pedestrian seating. Look at our beautiful lamp-like structures here with the beautiful lampshades. And we are interviewing our witnesses. A dozen witnesses mill around the pedestrian seating area across from the old clock at the western end of the Gabba Precinct Mall. The air buzzes with tension. Your brain works overtime, trying to observe and catalogue details. You recognize a famous restaurateur in her fedora and pearls, talking heatedly with a violin maker, his Einstein fro shot to greater than usual heights. Both locals, both revered in their game. Street approaches the pair.
I'm P.I Street, and this is my assistant in training.
Zoltan peers at you over his half-moon spectacles. Claire?
I remember you, Street. Still up to no good. Oh, is this me too?
No, that's
Come on,
Meg.
Mr.
Come on,
Palenka.
Mr. Palenka.
No,
I've
that's
never
you.
got into any real mischief.
What about the time you hid your pet mouse in his violin case? Olive Pearly pushed up the brim of her fedora. Her eyes twinkled fondly. They heard you scream all the way in Budapest, I think, Zoltan. Hearing this description of Street's wayward youth gives you a new insight. This makes you feel better about your own chances of success. You kick off the witness interrogation. Did either of you see what happened? Immediately, a chorus of witnesses fire their opinions at you and Street. Unbelievable! An outrage! We saw a young fella run off that way with a big bag. Okay,
Okay. Who was robbed? What did they take?
Street asks. The crowd stalls, only a few shuffling feet breaking the silence.
It was me.
A tall figure in a long, dark coat steps forward. Street raises his eyebrows at you, and you nod, letting him know you recognize that face from the news reports. Known as Asa, he runs the Diamond Adonis, a high-end antique shop rumored to run more deals under the table than across the counter.
They took everything from my safe, but most importantly, they took a relic, an opal firebird, the legendary creature of magical protection.
Asa holds his hands apart to indicate the size of the treasure is akin to a football.
It's covered from a block. It's carved from a block of solid black opal worth $3 million. The thief must be caught.
You catch your breath. $3 million? Money like that could change your life more than any new job.
The thief locked me in my own safe room. I've only just escaped, but through the window, I saw them run off that way.
He points along Juggers Street, up past the massive Jacaranda Tower looming over the precinct.
I think it was just a kid, but be careful, they had a gun.
A gun? You squeak.
Stay behind me. You'll be fine.
Street looks calm and confident. You pull a tight lid on your fear and try to think the situation through logically. The thief is young. Maybe they're working with an accomplice. Street eyeballs you, then nods in approval.
Great insight into the criminal mind, newbie. What do you suggest we do next?
Do you follow temptation and hunt down the thief to get that $3 million treasure for yourself? Or demonstrate your cunning and tail the thief? If they lead you to the accomplice, you could catch the whole gang and be a hero. So, guys, what do we want to do? Do we want to hunt down the thief and get a $3 million treasure for ourselves? Because we know that being a PI isn't going to give us $3 million. Or do we really go all in on the PI thing and demonstrate how cunning we
I want to be cunning.
are?
I want to do good PI things.
Meg?
Well, look, I hear you on that, Claire, but it's called the Firebird, and I'm a huge fan of the Queensland Firebirds, our absolutely dominating local netball team. Amazing bunch of inspiring women. So I wouldn't mind getting my hands on a $3 million Firebird carved opal egg. I reckon I might follow temptation. What do you reckon?
All right, we're going to have coin
justification like that, you've sold me. I'm in New South Wales. I have no jurisdiction over the Great Gabba Mystery.
No, come on. I understand the want to be cunning, right? Like you're wanting to prove your intellectual prowess, and I understand that. We could always flip for it. We could always flip the coin for it. But I think that Meg argued so passionately for getting $3 million.
Yeah.
That why would we deny her?
It seems like the less safe choice. Like, I feel like I'm just being too safe now that I think about it. Maybe.
All right. Yes, I like that. Now,
Too eager to please.
before we bounce off to go looking for our Firebird, as our bonus activity here, we are going to be examining the Gabba Precinct skyline for a bird sculpture perched precariously atop a high facade. Could this be the clue of the whereabouts of the opal Firebird? So, let's see from where we're standing if any of us can spot a bird.
Is there some sort of gargoyle on that building over there?
Maybe. It doesn't look like anything kind of
Like
this one over here.
yeah. Is that like a bird or something on top?
So those are the lights.
Looks good.
Those are from the lights. Oh, can we get closer in there? Let's have a look here. Can I get on the other side of this?
Can we go on the other side of the road?
That's what I'm wondering. Drop me over here. Yes, we can. What do we got up here?
I don't know. All I'm seeing is palm trees.
Right.
Maybe further down there's
Hey,
something.
you gorgeous people. I reckon I'm going to have to leave you to find the mysterious clue.
having
I'm about to. I'm going to head off. I'm going to head off to my next important PI job. So I've got a client waiting.
That is
Probably
offensive. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's so
we
beautiful.
appreciate it.
Yeah,
We appreciate it. We'll let you know.
it's so beautiful to catch up with.
Lovely to see you, Meg.
And we'll let you know
You
whether or
too,
not
Claire. I
we
love
get
following
a
your
Firebird.
travels and adventures on social.
Yeah, like honestly,
I know,
yeah,
please
like
do.
I'll send you an email or something and we'll have a chat.
Perfect. All right.
Love
Thanks.
it.
See you later.
Thank you very much, Meg. Oh, Meg,
Bye.
first, before you leave, how can people find you online so that they can maybe learn more about the new novella that's out?
Oh, beautiful. Okay, well, I've got an author page on Facebook, Meg Vann, Vann. And then I am on Insta as well. You can find me searching Meg Vann. My handle at the moment is Lilac Lioness because I'm a gorgeous hell. I've been boycotting Twitter because of all the dick moves happening over there, but I occasionally pop into Twitter. And here I am on Twitch as Thrill Sister.
Beautiful.
And all my publication information is listed on my webvann.com, VANN, or you can find me on Brain Jar Press website. They've got a lot of my publications there as well.
Amazing. Thank you, Meg. Have a lovely afternoon. We'll let you know how our adventure ends.
Thanks, Em.
Ciao, ciao.
Woohoo! Bye.
Bye, Meg.
Beautiful. Love it. All right. So we are
Let's
now
get to the
on
bottom of it.
to our next surf, which is the Giant Surfer. So where are we? We are over on Ipswich Road. And so that means that we have crossed the street in this direction. So we are down near the intersection with Ipswich and Hawthorne, right here. So this is where we're facing. Everybody, we're on the edge, as it were.
Ah, I see.
And we're looking for the Giant Surfer. Where is he gone? It is an art piece that is somewhere on this corner. Ah, there he is, right there. Okay.
Oh, I see.
See, right there.
How fun.
Right here. Look at our beautiful surfer. Isn't he lovely?
Gorgeous.
Whee! Okay. Do you want to take over Street there?
Sure.
All right.
All right. Public monuments to local creativity are all around us.
With pride, Street points out the local landmarks.
Laser tag was invented right here in Woolloongabba, and now it's played all over the world. And there's the giant surfer on the corrugated tin roof wave, a Gabba classic.
You're not politely preoccupied with the scanning of the area and forming secret plans to ditch the PI and steal the treasure. You catch a glimpse of the feet that cross the road. They are holding up a strange glowing object, pointing it directly at you. Glimmering with ice and fire, it has outstretched wings that seem to move. The magical Firebird.
No way.
Something strange begins to happen. Your senses warp as the chaos of modern life seeps away into sepia stillness. The road becomes riven dirt. Bullocky carts clip clop by. Grit settles on your skin. You rub your eyes and look again. The thief is still pointing the Firebird at you, but they have swapped their sports cap for a bonnet and their jeans for a bustling black frock, richly draped over whalebone curves. Street! What's happening? Bewildered, you panic and hold out the police radio to him. Call for help.
What's wrong, newbie? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Street takes the radio and scans the area.
I don't see our thief.
Layered beneath the fading image of a modern white building on the corner of Ipswich and Hawthorne, a rough old wooden shack emerges, its rusted tin roof creaking in a stiff breeze. The thief disappears behind the shack, casting a nervous glance over her shoulder. She catches your eye, her bonnet shadowed face drawn with such grief that you clutch your chest in sympathy. You squint through shifting prisms of time to make out a hallucinogenic swirl. A modern mural painted on the side of the shack undulates as time seems to shift. Broad swaths of colour twist and writher until the face of a powerful goddess forms in the sky. The woman in black holds up the Firebird, chanting in a strange dialect. Beside you, Street is muttering into the police radio, calling for paramedics.
I don't know any medical history. We only just met, but it looks like some kind of fit, or maybe a heart attack. Come quick.
Street's form begins to flicker like an old film reel, blurring and dissolving. The Firebird grows huge. It raises its proud beak and lets loose a shuddering cry. The wind squalls with cat o' nine tail lashes. The face of the goddess merges back into the mural, while the woman in black is lifted off her feet, skirts spinning. The Firebird rises up beneath her, and she settles astride its mighty back, turning the winged beast back towards you, swooping so close you feel the breeze against your neck. The Firebird extends its fearsome talons and swipes deep through Street's ghostly form. Look out! You cry. Winds howl with wild longing, and the sting of magic is against your skin.
Do you want me to be this chick?
Do it.
The goddess?
Do it.
He does not see what you see. Under the Firebird's spell, we mean no harm.
She holds out one hand.
Time is slipping away. Come, I need an innocent to help complete this.
Innocent? Me? You call back, heart racing but determined to cover your fear.
I'm Alice. I've travelled eons to find this magical bird. It has chosen you to help complete my quest.
You reach up as high as you can, stretch and make your final decision. Do you reach up and take Alice's hand, forsaking your dreams of wealth to solve this mystery? Or do you grab the bird's talons and try to pull it to the ground, determined to defeat the sorceress and make this magical treasure your own? Claire, thoughts?
I think we should reach up and take Alice's hand. That seems
Right,
exciting.
right. Like I was like, okay, first, all for $3 million.
Clearly, this is worth more than treasure. It's worth more than
Right.
treasure, I feel.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, because originally we went after it because we're like, oh, beautiful opal firebird, named after the Firebirds netball team here in Queensland, maybe $3 million worth. This sounds a bit cheeky. It sounds a bit exciting. And now we're given the option of like, okay, we can go super greedy or we can keep going down the exciting pathway, which is 100% reaching up.
I think this is a money can't buy opportunity. I think we gotta risk it for the biscuit.
I think that's right, exactly. So for those of you who are watching on the podcast, the area that we're in right now, we are opposite this very funky kind of surf, skate, and sail shop. And so on it, there's this roof that has been turned into like a breaking wave, and there's this silver surfer like surfing through this breaking wave on this shop facade. So it's very, very cute. And then nearby, I'm not quite sure if the goddess in that image was kind of like imagined, or if it used to be a mural. Have a feeling that like here, which is where like was kind of meant to be the shack, right? I'm pretty sure that there did used to be a mural somewhere around here, but
There still are some murals around there from memory.
Yeah.
I used to live really close to there in Brisbane.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, because this building looks super new, because this is like September 2022. So I do wonder if maybe it used to be on the side of this building here and it kind of got. Oh no, there she is! Look at her. There she is. The goddess right there. This is our goddess.
Yo.
Yeah, still there.
We see. Love that.
She's got like triangles on her hands, beautiful flowing. Like
she looks truly goddessy.
She does. She's got like 4 arms. Like she's.
There's some geometry happening with those triangles. Love it.
As you say, as a mural-based artist as well, there, Claire, you appreciate it.
As someone that has painted a few murals in her time, I'm Myron, and it's a nice mural. Cool. All right, let's do it.
Awesome, and that was our bonus activity. Was finding our goddess face. So excellent. Found her, and so now we are going to reach and grab the hand. So we are heading then to the church, which is going to be down Hawthorne Street, across the Pacific Motorway. All right, let's do this. So we're going across the motorway, all the way over to near Trinity Lane. This guy right here. So we should find ourselves a church here. There he is. Hi, little church. You look nice. Oh, that's a pretty one.
Crazy that laser force is invented in Woolloongabba.
Right, laser tag. What?
So wild. Like laser tag is just like a Smash World phenomenon, and it's invented right there in Brisbane.
That is so crazy. Yeah, that is 100% really.
But it makes perfect sense because Brisbane is full of kooky people, so it makes perfect sense that it's out of Brisbane.
I really wonder what came first, like paintball or laser tag. Like, were they invented around the same time? Like, this is what I want to know, right?
This is a journalistic inquiry that we're going to have to delve deep into.
I think so. It's if we can also like mix it with a bit of music history, I'm sure that like we can get it done. Actually,
love it.
A bit of music history.
Brisbane has great music history.
Yeah, 100%. I was about to say
Brisbane is the birthplace of punk.
Oh, really?
Truly. There's a band from Brisbane called the Saints that are directly credited with giving the Sex Pistols all of their inspiration.
Ooh. Wow.
And also, not to mention, the Bee Gees live there also. So it's kind of also the birthplace of, well, not the birthplace, but the nurturing grounds for the renaissance of disco. Let's not forget, Brisbane is truly a creative hub.
Yeah, I love that. And Powderfinger, also from Brisbane, their Vulture Street album, not in Woolloongabba but in the West End. And
Yeah.
so all of that is into the tapestry of music that is Brisbane.
Still some great gigs to be found in that part of Brisbane as well.
100%. So for those of us listening on the podcast, we have gone up the hill to the Holy Trinity Anglican Church, which is this beautiful, very kind of Spanish-looking whitewash wall church with these like orange terracotta tiles on the roof, and kind of like
it's everything a beautiful church should be. It's
really
very cute.
It
Yeah.
is. And so it was beautiful kind of dome-capped, like a bell tower, and all of like the fringes of the roof kind of, have been done in kind of a crenulated kind of castle kind of style there. And it's quite scraggly ground as well. So it kind of does look like you're in a little bit of a deserty kind of part of Brisbane. But just, yeah, absolutely gorgeous church. And we are here because we have taken the hand of the goddess, is assistant, and are on the back of a firebird. So, on the firebird's back, you crest the sacred hill. Above the steeple of a historic church, the firebird spirals in a tightening gyre. You sway with the rhythm of each mighty beating wing. All is ready. Oh, sorry, I'll let you do that, Claire.
Okay. All is ready.
Alice calls to you over her shoulder.
My love awaits. If our union is consecrated, together we will beat the evil forces and heal this rift in time.
Fear flutters in your chest. What evil forces? But Alice does not hear you over the roaring of the flight's winds. The church roof opens beneath you to reveal a divine scene within. A congregation dressed in clothes from across the globe and throughout time. A priest in jacaranda robes floats at the altar. Before him stands a noble figure bearing a crown beset with opals and dressed in a glorious suit woven from silk and paperbark, embroidered with glittering fleece. Priest and noble both lift their faces towards the firebird. The noble calls out, her eyes glowing righteous.
Alice, my Alice, time will rip asunder if we are kept apart any longer.
The priest's face warps with rage into a beastly countenance. His teeth stretch into glistening fangs. Blistering holes form where his eyes once were. From each gaping socket burst sparks, each ember taking on the deathly form of a demon ascending over the church. Below, the congregation writhers in confusion.
The sacrifice of an innocent will open the door for us.
Alice's face pleads with you.
It's the only way to heal the rift in time. Closed minds have caused the fabric of the universe to fracture and split.
The weight of responsibility sits heavily on you as you struggle to understand. Minds close to what?
To magic.
Alice's tears vaporize, the demon's heat blistering the skies.
To love.
You reach to comfort her. At that moment, the firebird turns and plunges its beak into your flesh. There's no pain, but you watch in shock as blood flows across the firebird's opal feathers, raining on the demons below. A screeching fills your ears, and you are buffeted left and right as they rise up and wail. Tensing beneath you, the firebird unspools an eerie cry born of all history and all futures, causing an image to form in your mind. You understand what you must do, you and this mighty winged beast. The firebird glides into the church. Alice slips from its back to stand beside the fine, noble woman before the altar. You watch as the face of the priest turns to human form, serene and wise. The firebird swiftly climbs back into the stormy skies. Demons stream after you, cloying fingers clutching at your clothes, winding around your limbs. The mighty bird curls its wings around you, hugging you tight against the opalescent feathers of its breast. Together you dive down towards the pristine spire. The demons trail the firebird's lustrous tail feathers, bound to your fate. Plunging into the shimmering depths hidden below the church, the last earthly sound you hear is the ecstatic cheer of a united congregation. Alice and the noble woman weave their hands together and hold them high, united in victory. You raise your hand in return and wave your last goodbye. Whew.
Whoa, that was so not the ending that I was expecting.
That was intense, man.
That was so intense. Oh my goodness. And like, I know from, like, obviously I know from illustrating this story that this story goes off in so many different genres. Like, that was like a really magical, like demonic, like crazy time warp genre. But there's also like the spy route, and there's also, if I remember correctly, there's like the sci-fi way you can travel down this story as well.
Yeah. So there's a thriller way, there's like a spy way, there's like a general like private detective, cop procedural like branch, and then there's a science fiction alien branch.
Oh my gosh, you can cover all of the genres. That was so cool.
And then
I forgot how good the story is.
There's a sport branch as well, like where it
classic,
ends up being like a sports thing too. But like, look at
what
the
a testament to Meg's writing.
Right?
Amazing.
Right?
Amazing.
And as she said, like twisted, dark, warped. And I loved here how like, so the idea being that it was two women getting married, and because of the closed-mindedness of the congregation, right, it's kind of like rented this kind of like time portal. And so you are essentially sacrificing yourself for all love. Right?
Yeah.
Marriage is not
so
just
crazy.
a marriage between a man and a woman. Marriage can be for everyone to show their
love. There's so many different layers to this story. Like, it's just like how lovely to have illustrated it. What a privilege. So cool.
I love
Thanks,
it.
Meg.
Thanks, Meg. We appreciate this wonderful story. 5 stars. That's what I'm giving this. 5.
Chef's kiss.
Chef's kiss, Meg. Beautiful story. And look, we sacrificed ourselves, but it was for the greater good, right?
We even lost Meg on the journey as well.
We did. She's P.I Street who's disappeared in the future.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on this adventure with me again, Claire. It is so lovely, as always, to have you on here. Again, how can people find you if they want to learn more about you and the work that you do?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I have a website, which is just clarenealcreative.com, but I also have a page on social media, and I also have an Instagram account that is Clare Neal Creates. And I guess it's sort of a weird one because I manage so many different social media channels, but to get in touch with me, that's probably the best way.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Claire. And to you, adventurers, next week we will be going on an adventure again in the Brisbane CBD, but we will be going on an adventure as the sidekick of a very inept hero as we attempt to stop him from messing up saving Brisbane from a terrible villain. So that is going to be next Friday night here in North America and Saturday in Australia. That's going to be with the lovely Lauren Sherritt, and that will be a fun and comedic adventure hour. So please do join us. If any of you want to explore the twisty, turny, windy paths of the rest of Meg's adventure in the Great Gabba Mystery, highly recommend downloading the Story City app at about.storycity.app and turning on spoiler mode. And then that way, if you don't live in Brisbane, you can see how the story would have ended if you had been making the decisions. And if you do live in Brisbane, recommend going out to Woolloongabba for the very least, just because it looks like this now, and who knows what it'll look like in the 10 years that they start building things for the Olympics. So go out, check it out
Yeah.
now.
It's
Soak
such
in
a
the
cool
history.
neighborhood.
It's such a cool neighborhood, right? Most people go to the West End or Central and like Paddington. No, Woolloongabba.
You could
Woolloongabba's
easily do a
not
day
just for the
trip and
sports.
literally you could do a whole day trip and walk from like the Gabba right through to Southbank and the West End. It's
You
just like the
could.
whole day. Yeah.
You could, and that's a fun walk as well. And actually, very close to Woolloongabba is the Boggo Road Jail area, which was where Jason's monster story is. So like, so many different ways you can explore Brisbane.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much
Knock
for
off a
joining
couple of
us, Claire.
stories.
That's right. And Meg, again, thank you so much for joining us. And